Have you ever had the gut feeling that you should not board a cruise ship? I did, and this time I listened. The feeling hit me while we were still in the parking lot. Not panic, not nerves, just a low, steady resistance. Like my body was pressing a hand against my chest and saying stop. I stood there with my suitcase upright beside me, watching people unload bags and laugh, and felt completely out of sync. The ship loomed ahead, bright and massive, floating like it had nothing to fear. Everyone else was excited. My boyfriend kept checking our documents, smiling, already talking about the buffet and the balcony view. I nodded along, pretending I wasn't counting my breaths. You good? He asked. Yeah, I said, just tired. It wasn't true. As we got closer to the terminal doors, the feeling sharpened, not louder, clearer, like static suddenly resolving into a voice you still can't quite hear. I slowed my steps. I think something's wrong, I said quietly. He laughed. You hate crowds. This is just that. That explanation would have made sense if the feeling had faded. It didn't. Inside the terminal, everything was too smooth, too efficient. Staff smiled without missing a beat. Music played softly overhead. People moved in clean lines, guided by signs and cheerful employees. And yet I felt watched, not stared at, tracked. At security, a crew member took my passport and looked at it longer than necessary. His smile stayed in place, but his eyes flicked up to my face, then back down like he was comparing something. First cruise? He asked. Yes, I said. He nodded slowly. They're unforgettable. He handed my passport back and turned away without another word. My hands were cold. We reached the boarding ramp, the final stretch. Beyond it, the ship waited, doors open, swallowing people one by one. I stopped walking. I don't think I can do this, I said. My boyfriend sighed, frustrated now. You're seriously backing out at the ramp? People behind us shuffled. Someone cleared their throat. A staff member stepped closer, smile ready. Everything okay? She asked. I looked past her, up at the ship. That was when I noticed something small and wrong. A man standing near the entrance, not greeting passengers, not helping, just standing there, watching each person step on board. When a family crossed the threshold, his gaze followed the youngest child until she disappeared inside. Then he wrote something on a clipboard. My heart started racing. I'm not getting on, I said. The words felt solid the moment they left my mouth. The staff member's smile faltered. If there's a medical concern, we can... It's not medical, I said. I'm just not boarding. My boyfriend stared at me like I'd lost my mind. You can't be serious. I am. He argued, quietly at first, then sharper. The trip was non-refundable. I was overreacting. I would regret it. I didn't care. The feeling in my chest eased the second I stepped away from the ramp. That should have been my answer. We argued for 10 more minutes. Finally, furious and embarrassed, he boarded without me. I'll see you in a week, he said. When you realize this was stupid. I watched him disappear into the ship. The doors closed. The horn sounded, and the ship pulled away from the dock. I stood there alone, shaking, trying to convince myself I had just made the worst decision of my life. 3 days later, the news broke. The cruise had been delayed from its next port. A medical situation, then another delay, then silence. By day 5, articles started appearing. A missing passenger, then 2. The cruise line insisted nothing unusual had happened. Privacy concerns, isolated incidents. But people online talked. Crew schedules didn't line up. CCTV gaps were mentioned and quietly walked back. Families complained that questions went unanswered. Then a former crew member posted anonymously. They described unlisted rooms below deck, areas not on passenger maps, rotations where certain staff worked only night shifts and were never photographed. They mentioned a clipboard. I couldn't stop shaking. A week later, my boyfriend called. His voice sounded wrong, flat, tight. Can you pick me up? He asked. I'm back early. At the airport, he looked exhausted, thinner. His hands wouldn't stay still. What happened? I asked. He didn't answer right away. Finally, he said, people went missing. My stomach dropped. I thought you were being dramatic, he said. But after the second announcement, I started remembering things. He told me about a knock on his cabin door at night, about a hallway that led somewhere it shouldn't have, about a crew member who asked his name twice and smiled when he answered differently. They kept saying everything was fine, he said, but no one slept. The investigation went nowhere. The cruise line settled quietly with families. The story faded. But sometimes, late at night, I think about that moment at the ramp, about how close I came to stepping forward instead of back. I don't try to explain it anymore when people ask why I won't go on cruises. I just say I had a bad feeling, because I know now that feeling wasn't fear. It was recognition. And the only reason I'm here to talk about it is because I finally listened.